So I think we're all set for the session, right?
Yeah, just a sec. Can we go over what mics you got?
Don't worry. I've got every single mic you can dream
Oh,
of.
that's perfect. So you got the Sony C800G?
Except for that one.
No, alright. Then the Elam 251?
Also, no, I don't have that one.
Well, can I get a C12 then?
To never get into that situation again, I have brought the Universal Audio Sphere LX mic with me today. It is a modeling mic and it gives you access to a pretty impressive mic locker with just the one mic. In this video, we'll go over the features of the Sphere LX mic and we will even do a shootout comparing how it performs in a home studio situation called My Living Room versus a professional recording environment called the Atlantis studio, where we will be recording with a vintage $13,000 Neumann U67. And of course, over here in the studio, I will be running the U67 through my Neve 1073 and the CO1B chain, which we will copy over in the Apollo Twin X over at my home studio with the Universal Audio plugins. So we'll do a complete plugin versus hardware chain. Alright, so I've got Ginge over there in the live room waiting to drop some amazing vocals for us. So let's head over there to see how she sounds on this vintage U67.
Water me like I need it closer so I can feel it suddenly in the sea of salty lips. You kiss it and I can tell if this is a magic spell or relay. Then you can get my heels overhead.
Okay, so that is basically how it's going to sound if I record like I normally do with a $20,000 vocal chain. But as you may have noticed, we transitioned to my home studio. So let's see how we can get close to that sound with the Sphere LX, the Apollo Twin X, and a bunch of plugins in the box. Okay, so obviously as you're hearing me through the Sphere LX already, I did the setup already, but I'll quickly run you through everything. So it comes with its own custom cable that is a 5-pin XLR on the mic side, and that splits into 2 regular XLRs on the Twin side, on the Apollo side, because you need both of the inputs for this mic. Because 1 is the front capsule and 2 is the rear capsule. And then you need to go to your console and actually press this and hit link over here. So you've got analog 1 and 2 connected together. And then you can go over to all the Sphere modeling software. Before we go into the Sphere LX software, we are going through the Neve 1073 because I wanted to copy the same settings that I had in the studio, so I'm using this 1073 as a unison preamp so we can get that color. One thing that did stand out though is that I needed a little bit more gain because this is on 55 and the Neve 1073 in the studio was on 35, so this has a little bit of a lower output than the U67. Over here on the insert, I've got the Sphere modeling software. Now the first thing that you want to do over here is check your source mic and see if it is set to LX. You can also set it to the DLX and even the Townsend L22 if you still have that one. So I've got it set to Sphere Direct right now, so this is just the sound of the mic itself. If we open this, you get a bunch of options and you get a hybrid collection with ribbons and actual stuff that is not a condenser mic. And then you get the large collection, and that is all tube mics and condenser mics. And then you've got some Bill Putnam stuff over here. And that is why we needed this, because we needed this BP67. And now the sound of my voice has changed to as if I would be speaking into a U67. At least I hope. Right, so as you can hear, this is not the best treated space in the world. I mean, I did put up some paneling over here because this is my mix position, but over there, all we've got is basically that wooden slat wall, which does kind of do something acoustically, but it's basically a living room and not a studio like the live room at Atlantis. Which is probably why I'm going to need to call in some help from a friend, which stands right behind me, and that is the Aston Halo reflection filter. Yes, we are getting rid of the reflections in the room, but the reflection filter itself will also give us some kind of reflected sound back into the mic. And with the Sphere, Universal Audio has come up with something pretty interesting for that, and that is called the Isophere function. So if we hit this button over here, we get to this menu that shows us all these reflection filters, and it has the halo as well. And basically what this does now, if you press the in button, you can actually see that the polar pattern is changing, and they do that because then they can cancel out the worst reflections of that reflection filter. Now that would mean that the sound of the mic is slightly going to change, but if I have to believe Universal Audio, that will make up for the change in sound that you get from getting the reflection filter combo with the mic and everything. Alright, so let's set up the mic behind me, let's get Ginge in the room, and let's see if we can get this mic to sound remotely close to what we had in the Atlantis studio.
What hurt me like I need it closer so I can feel it suddenly in a sea of salty lips. You kiss it and I can tell if this is a magic spell or relay. Then you can get my heels over heads.
Okay, so we've got all the takes. Now before we do the final A-B comparison, let me guide you through the mix in the box really quickly. Of course, I went through a TubeTech CL1B hardware in the studio, so I am going through a TubeTech CL1B plugin over here as well. And then because we are summing everything to the SSL 4000, I am also using the 4K channel strip to just give us that vibe of an SSL console. It's not doing anything, but I just wanted to have the modeling of those electronics in that path, so we have an equal comparison. The reverb, delay, slap, doubler, chorus are all the same. The only thing I did was not use a hardware 480L, because in the studio I'm using the hardware Lexicon 480L, and over here I'm using the UAD Lexicon 480L. So everything on the studio side is hardware, and then everything in the home studio setup is plugin. So it's basically the perfect hardware versus plugin comparison. Alright, so let's line these files up and do an A-B comparison between the sound that we had in the Atlantis studio versus what we got out of my home studio.
What hurt me like I need it closer so I can feel it suddenly in a sea of salty lips. You kiss it and I can tell if this is a magic spell or relay. Then you can get my heels over heads simultaneously. Ooh, 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 ooh. Lose it, careless and free. Ooh, 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 ooh. So tell me, is it working how I work it? Are you lurking? Is it sweet? Am I worth it in reverse? And would you take another leap? Is it working how I work it? Are you lurking? Is it sweet? Am I worth it in reverse? And would you take another leap?
That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and please let me know in the comments if you think that the Sphere LX gets close enough to the U67, or if you think that we should still be spending $20,000 on our vocal chains. That's it for me on the Sphere. I'll see you on the next one. Later!